Okay, welcome to week 5. Great job working last week on your outline, your rough draft, and your peer reviews. You are now ready to work on your final draft of part 1. Yes! I want to stress again to please make sure you go to the announcements. You're reading over the announcement. You're going back and looking at the announcements, especially the week 3 overview where I put the MLA formatting video. If I could find it, here it is. Somewhere in here is the week 3 formatting video, or MLA formatting. Here it is, the week 3 MLA formatting video. That goes over how to set up your paper, how to do the works cited page, how to do in-text citations, everything you need to be successful on your final draft. And if you've been practicing last week and this week, then you will do well. But please make sure you are utilizing the announcement. Week 4 also has information in there as well. So let's move on to week 5 assignments. So this week, analysis and synthesis information. Your final draft is due on Monday. You have your essay part 2 overview. Week 5 research part 2, student teacher conference sign up, quiz, comma rules, quiz, proctorial practice, and student feedback to the instructor. So let's go in and go over each one of these. The analysis and synthesis, this has to do with part 2. So this week is all prepping you for part 2, in which you will dive right into next week for week 6. So making sure that you are studying how to do analysis and synthesis, watching the videos, going back to the resources that I provided you in either week or 2 or 3 with additional information. Just clicking on those links will help you. When you're done, please mark done. It is very important you understand the difference between analysis and synthesis. You will be doing both in part 2. Next, pop that down, is your essay part 1 final draft. For your final draft, please make sure you're taking the recommendations from your peers. You are proofreading carefully. You are looking over the rubric guidelines. You are also looking over the argumentative synthesis part 1 overview. You have the background information. You have definitions of terms that need to be defined. You have a brief statement about what the debate is, why is it important, and then you have a brief preview of what is to come in parts 2 and 3. When I say brief overview, in your concluding paragraph, it's like 1 to 2 sentences. You also have your works cited page. Everything should be in MLA format. You can go to the Al Purdue website, or again, you could go back to the announcements and look there. It is very important you read over everything closely. That is your job as an online student. Next, we are going to start the essay part 2 overview. So, essay 1, check, check, done. Now it is essay part 2. So please read over these instructions carefully. This is the argumentative synthesis part, or the synthesis and analysis part. The first part was just informative background history. This part is the synthesis analysis part. So this is where you're going to do more research, getting at least 3 more additional sources. So by the time you're done with part 2, you should have 5 or more sources. This is also the longest part of this research project that we have in 3 parts. It is 1,200 words. That is I will go between 4 and 6 typed pages. Do not go over 6. Do not go under 4. That's 1,200 words. Please watch your word count in your Word document. In part 2, your job is to analyze each of the points of view or positions taken on the issue, and then synthesize the debate for your readers. So again, analyzing the positions or points of view, and then synthesizing it. When you synthesize, how do they agree? How do they disagree? How are they alike? How are they not alike? Things like that. That is synthesis. Okay. Why is the issue significant today? Who is most affected and concerned? What sides are currently debating the issue? Are there more than 2 sides? Okay, for this part, you will need more than 2 sides, and we will go over those points of view in week 6. But this week, again, is researching. Find all the information, finding those different points of view that are there on your topic, using the lenses that you've already been using for part 1. Okay. Continue to read over this information. Organization or structure for part 2. There are 3 ways you can structure your essay. Number 1 and number 2 are the most popular, with number 2 being the most popular because you introduce, summarize, and analyze each point of view or each position, and then you synthesize it all in a couple paragraphs and then conclude. Versus format 1 is where you introduce, summarize, and analyze point 1 or position 1, view 1, introduce, summarize position 2, then you synthesize those 2 positions, then you introduce part 3 or position 3, and you synthesize all 3 positions, and then you conclude. And then the last one is where you introduce and summarize sub-issue 1. So this is where you're getting into a little bit minute details. This is a little bit more sophisticated. If you feel you can handle it, please do this one. But again, number 2 is typically the easiest, followed by number 1, then number 3. It's completely your choice on which format you're going to use. Just make sure that you follow the directions. Please review the attached rubric. Very important that you look over the rubric. What are the expectations? When you're done reading over this, mark done. I would suggest printing this out so you have it next to you, making notes on it, know it inside and out. Next is the research for part 2. This is going to be the heavy part for this week. Lots of reading, annotating your research, finding those quotes that will back up the different points of view, finding those points of view, using the lenses that you had, and finding the points of view through the lenses. And if you need to know more of that, please go back to week 3 overview where Rhonda asked a very good question and I responded. Also, please make sure you ask questions early in this assignment so that they could be answered. And please ask them on the announcements page so that everybody can see the question and answer, because it's good for everybody to see that because you're probably not the only one with the question. So once you're done with all your research, you're gathering your note cards, similar to part 1, then you're going to get ready to write your outline, and that will be next week in week 6. Right now, this week, just the research. Also, for week 6 and 7, you'll be signing up for student-teacher conferences. So you're going to meet one-on-one with me through Zoom for 15 minutes during week 6 and 7, which is February 7th through 18th. I am only accepting signups for Monday through Friday, not on the weekend. And before the conference, please make sure you submitted your outline. So if you did not submit your outline for part 2, or if you don't think you're going to get it in early, then don't sign up early. Sign up later. If you think you're going to get it early, then sign up early. Okay? But you do need to have your outline in, or we really don't have much to talk about, and there's no point in having the conference. Be prepared with questions or concerns you might have for me, okay, in regards to part 2. What pitfalls do you think you're going to come across? What areas need to be strengthened? Things like that. And I will be looking at your outline before we meet to make sure you have it. Otherwise, I'll cancel the teacher conference. You'll have to sign up again with whatever slots are left, because I'm not opening up more slots than what's already on there. So you'll press the link for sign up calendar, or press this link here, and it will take you to my calendar. And you go to February 7th. You have all these time slots. I have a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the evening. These are my time zone. It will translate into your time zone. Okay. Again, I'm Eastern time zone in the United States. On Tuesday, I have a little bit further in the mid-afternoon, and then I have some time slots later in the evening. On Wednesday, I have later in mid-afternoon, and then the evening. Thursday, I have early morning and afternoon. Friday, I have mid-morning, early afternoon, and then later in the evening. It repeats again for the 14th through the 18th. Please sign up for one slot, okay? One 15-minute slot. Please do not miss your time slot. If you miss your time slot, then you will receive a 0 for this assignment. When you're done signing up, please mark done. Mark it on your calendar as well so you don't forget. Comma rules quiz. There are 2 parts for comma rules. This is part 1. Please read over the information. Video, very similar to what you've done before. You have 2 attempts, 120 minutes for each attempt for 21 questions. Anytime we do this learning of the different grammar mechanics lessons that you're having here, please apply them in your writing. The only way they're going to solidify and be useful to you is if you practice with them, just like a musical instrument or a sport. The proctorial quiz practice. This is remotely proctored. You do have to have a camera. It does need to be a quiet place. So please make sure that you set that up. It is only 3 questions because, again, it's practice just to get this down so you understand how to use proctorial. And you have until February 5th to get this done, or sorry, February 4th, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I always have to remember I have to convert to Mountain Standard Time. Please read this guide carefully and follow the instructions carefully, or it will not let you into proctorio and it will not let you take the quiz. So that is your responsibility to get that set up. I suggest doing this earlier in the week than later in the week, like last minute. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue. Oh, you know what? Let me go back on that real fast. I do not know proctorio well. If you have any questions, any technical difficulties, you need to utilize this information here. I cannot help you. I don't know how exactly it's used. I just know how to access things on my side as a teacher. All right, student feedback for the instructor. How am I doing? Please be honest on this. Be polite. Give me constructive feedback, but be honest. So that way I know where to make adjustments. Again, this class is difficult. It does demand your time. It does demand that you are reading a lot. Unfortunately, for an online class, that's how it works. I do not create the content. The content is already created. I just instruct on it and grade things and help you out through the week. So hopefully you've been partaking in the class and learning a lot so far. And please give me constructive feedback. I always look forward to it. And that is the last for week 5. If you have any questions, please ask them below. Just a quick glance for week 6, you're going to have your positions worksheet. This is where all your research from week 5 is going to come into play. You're going to do your outline for part 2. We will have our student teacher conferences if you signed up this week, and your second comma rules quiz. Week 7, you're going to learn about paragraphs and using sources, summarizing and quoting and framing, how to do that with quote framing. I kind of talked about it in week 4. And then again, if you did not do student teacher conferences in week 6, you'll do it in week 7. Then you'll look at sample student essays. I will also have sample student essays, additional ones, and then a quiz, and then another quiz on plagiarism. So that just gives you an overview of the next 2 weeks after week 5 on where we're going for part 2. Lots and lots of reading and researching for week 5. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the box below. Have a good week.